was empty at this point in night, and it was famous for nighttime robberies. So it was not wise to stop on this road. We just wanted to get the hell out of that road as soon as possible and go home. This is when we noticed that our car started to wobble a bit. It turned out that one of the tires was punctured. So we got out of the car and we decided to change the tire as soon as possible so that we don't get robbed. But when I opened the trunk to look for the spare tire, what I saw there was so shocking and terrifying that this was my face. But before I tell you what I found in that trunk, I have to go back to the beginning of the story. This happened about 6 years ago when I was in my final semester in university, and I was desperately trying to find a job because I wanted to find a job before I graduate. I did not want to be unemployed even for one day. So one day I got a call from a company in Islamabad to come for an interview, and so did a couple of my friends from university. So we decided why not to go together to Islamabad. We met in the morning in cafeteria for a breakfast, where one of my friends suggested that he can actually borrow a car and we don't need to go on public transport. But not just any car, he can borrow a Ferrari. Of course I was excited. I told him, of course, let's go on Ferrari. And he went to his friend to take the car, while me and the other friend, we were waiting on the road. And I decided to post on Facebook. I'm going to Islamabad on a Ferrari. I was so proud. While me and my other friend were looking on the horizon on the roads, waiting for a Ferrari to show up, what we saw was an old Toyota Corolla from 1980s, white colored, really in a bad shape, coming towards us. We didn't pay any attention to it because we thought, okay, it's just a car. What surprised us was that our friend was driving this car when it came to us. It turns out that the owner of that car lovingly calls his very old Toyota Corolla a Ferrari. We were very disappointed, but it was too late to do anything else, so we decided to go to Islamabad on that car. The first half of the journey was on a road where you couldn't really drive so fast, so we were going a bit slower. But the second half of the journey was actually on a motorway, which is a very high-speed highway. And you are supposed to drive very fast there, because if you drive slow, you risk getting into an accident. So what my friend who was driving, and I was sitting with him in the front passenger seat, he decided to put the car in the 5th gear, which is the highest gear in the car. And when he put the gear in 5th, and he left his hand, immediately the gear came back to neutral state, and the car made some really strange noises. It was scary. We were both surprised, and he decided to give it another shot. So he did it again, and again as soon as he left, the gear came back to neutral state. And the car was screaming. I cannot tell you how bad the sound was. And since the car was slowing down a bit, we came up with an innovative solution, since we are engineers. I decided I will keep the gear in place while he will be the one driving. Both of us together will drive this car all the way to Islamabad. He will tell me when to change the gear, and I will change the gear while he's controlling the steering wheel. And that's how we reached Islamabad without any incidents, luckily. We went to the interviews. We failed the interviews, we didn't get the jobs, so we decided to roam around in the city. We ate some burgers, and at some point we decided, okay, let's go back to our home. And this time, my other friend was supposed to drive on the way back, and he decided that instead of going on this fast motorway and repeating that co-pilot stunt that we did, he will go on another road where he doesn't need to drive so fast. Since this was an old car, there was no radio in there, so basically there was no music, and after a very long tiring day, I kind of fell asleep in the car. After a while, when I woke up, I noticed that the car is going extremely fast on a road where you are not supposed to drive that fast, like twice the allowed speed. And when I looked at my friend who was driving the car, I noticed this is how normal people drive. They are sitting like this, and they are driving. This is how he was driving, keeping the knee to keep the gear in its place. And then driving like this, and like this, then every day he does it like this. And of course I got shocked. I started screaming, what the hell are you doing, man? I want to live, I want to get back, I want to graduate, I want to have a family. What are you doing? Don't kill me. So he listened to after my and my other friends screamed. He decided to slow down and started to go a bit normally. And this is when the car got punctured. So we got out of the car, we went to the trunk, we opened the trunk. I was looking for a spare tire, and there was but it was as if someone, in their anger, had taken a knife and had done like this with the tire. It was completely useless. That tire could not be put in the car. There was no possible way. And that shocked me because we were on a road which was famous for robbery, and we didn't want to get robbed in the middle of the night. And I was so angry with my friend who got this car that I was shocked. So we were just sitting there in a very difficult situation, stranded. And what do you do in this kind of situation? Well, this is what I did. I took my mobile out, I put on Facebook. The Ferrari got punctured, and now I'm stuck on the road. While we were waiting there to somehow get rescued, luckily a car came towards us, and it was not the robbers. It was some other people, fortunately, who were going in the same direction. So they gave us a lift back to our homes, and we got to our homes. When I finally reached my home, after cursing a lot at my friend for bringing that car and causing all this day of troubles, and of course failing the interview, I realized that still this is a story worth telling someday to my grandkids. What at the time I didn't realize that one day I would be telling it to Toastmasters, but that's life. So what I would tell my grandkids to learn from this story, there are 3 lessons that they need to learn. Number 1, if your friend comes to you and tells you that he will bring a Ferrari, do not trust him. Do not trust him until you see that Ferrari yourself. Number 2, if you borrow a car, always check if you have a spare tire. You don't want to be stranded in the middle of the road if your car got punctured. And number 3, doesn't matter how absurd the situation might be and how discomfort and stupid you feel in a situation in the day, after a while when you look back, and if you were in a company of really good people, you will realize that it was a good time in the end, and a story worth telling.